Joining us right now is Governor Jim Gilmore, former Virginia governor, of course, but honestly, more relevant to our news cycle today, he is former Virginia Attorney General Jim Gilmore, and of course now he's president and CEO of American Opportunity. Governor Gilmore, thanks for joining us, sir.
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, we've been talking about this stunning story yesterday of Attorney General Mark Herring, 22 days after swearing on the Bible to uphold the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, deciding that not only is he going to not defend the duly passed constitutional amendment defining marriage as one man, one woman, he's actually going to join the fight to determine that amendment is unconstitutional. When asked about how he got to this point and how he made this decision, considering the fact he actually voted for this amendment in 2006 when he was a state senator, this was his response.
I have just come to the conclusion that I wouldn't want the state telling my son or my daughter who they can and cannot marry.
So, Governor Gilmore, when you were Virginia Attorney General, would you unilaterally decide what part of the Constitution of the Commonwealth was worth supporting and not worth supporting based on what your son and daughter thought about it?
No. As a matter of fact, it really doesn't matter how Attorney General Herring feels about the amendment or how you or I feel about the constitutional provision. The fact is that it exists. It's in the Constitution. It was passed by the General Assembly 2 years. It was ratified by 57% of the vote of the people of Virginia, and it's in the Constitution. He's taken an oath just a few days ago to uphold the Constitution. That's his job as the Attorney General. And, even though he may not like it, that's his job. That's what he ran for, and that's what he swore to do. So I don't approve of what the Attorney General is doing. When he made his statement, he said, well, this is in my independent constitutional judgment. Well, that's not his job. That's the job of a court. And if a court, specifically here the Supreme Court of the United States, declares that the Virginia provision is unconstitutional, so be it. It's very controversial. There's a lot of debate right now in the community on your radio station, but that's not appropriate for the Attorney General to back out of his duty.
Did you ever have a situation when you were Attorney General where you had to defend something that you didn't really want to defend, but you felt like the office required that you defend it?
Yes. Actually, there are two instances. One where I went the other way, though. There was a case in Virginia, actually, where a university was discriminating against a Christian student organization, and I withdrew from that support, but made sure that they had a lawyer to represent them. But the more exact difference was I was called on to, in fact, declare a statute unconstitutional, and I didn't do it because I felt like that the laws and the Constitution of Virginia required more dignity than a member of the executive branch turning around and saying, well, I just don't think it's constitutional, so I'm not going to do my duty. Yeah. Specifically, I had somebody ask me to declare unconstitutional the provisions where an elected official gets to pick his own method of renomination. Now, I think that's an abhorrent statute. I just hate that statute. But I couldn't help that. Mm-hmm. My duty was to uphold the law and not just to take on the robes of a judge. I wasn't a judge.
All right, now, I keep stumbling into this story in the Virginian Pilot where the editorial board came out and endorsed Herring. And in that, they suggested that he led them to believe that, even though he personally disagreed with it, he understood that as Attorney General, he would have to defend this, what he thinks is an unpopular constitutional amendment. When you go before an editorial board, they ask you questions about that kind of stuff to elicit those answers. Are you surprised that he gave that answer and led the Virginia Pilot to believe that indeed he would defend this constitutional amendment, even though he personally disagreed with it, and then flip-flopped on it?
Well, I'm surprised because he led the Virginia people who were getting ready to vote as to what his position would be. You may recall during this past campaign he was bitterly opposed, and so was Governor McAuliffe to Attorney General Cuccinelli, saying that he used to intervene all the time, or not intervene, or make political decisions based upon instead of legal decisions. They complained about that, said that he was acting improperly, and then just a few days later, after the Attorney General Herring takes the oath of office, he does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I think you got to be consistent, particularly when you tell the people of Virginia in an election you're going to do something. I think you got to do it.
Our Gus knows a little something about the people of Virginia and also the laws of Virginia. He was the governor of the Commonwealth and also the Attorney General, Jim Gilmore. And we've had a lot of calls over the last 24 hours since this story broke yesterday morning, and a lot of people will call in and say, "Listen, this has nothing to do with gay marriage. I don't really oppose same-sex marriage. What they're upset about is the fact that one man here has decided what is and isn't constitutional and the ramifications of that decision. By not defending the Constitution, the groups that are fighting against this in federal court, they're going to prevail because there will be no one there speaking on behalf of the people of Virginia. That has huge ramifications here. He's basically changed the law and changed the Constitution with this decision. Isn't that the way it's going to play out, Jim Gilmore?
I don't know how it's going to appear in court, whether or not there's going to be somebody to speak up for him or not.
Well, no one has standing. If you take precedence from what happened in California with Prop 8, no one will have standing here.
It is precisely correctly the point that this does not have something to do with gay marriage. This could be any provision of the Virginia Constitution that the Attorney General just says, well, I just don't think I agree with that. I'm just not going to defend it. The law is very specific in Virginia. It says the Attorney General has to should defend the actions and represent the actions of the Commonwealth of Virginia in court. And there's a specific provision that says that when they're in conflict with the federal government, that they stand up for the state of Virginia. That's what the Attorney General is.
Well, hold on a minute. If that's the requirement of the law, and he has violated the requirement of the law of what an Attorney General is supposed to do, what ramifications do the people have if they disagree with that decision?
That's a great question. Because we just had the election. Election's over, and I think that it's a very serious matter. I mean, who else is going to have the dignity and frankly the gunpowder behind them to go in and as the Attorney General is required to do by law? So, I mean,
what can the people do? Is this a question of starting a recall effort? Is there impeachment proceedings? I mean, people are very angry about this.
We don't have recall in Virginia. We don't have referendum and initiative, except in this particular case, specifically when this was passed, there was a referendum of the people. That's how it gets into the Constitution. But you don't have a referendum in Virginia. You don't have recall. You actually can do a recall. Actually, I'm not sure you can do a recall. I think you have to do an impeachment. That would have to be required.
All right, Governor Jim Gilmore, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, though. You bring so much expertise to this issue. We really appreciate you being here this morning.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak.